Hello there and welcome to another edition of Robot Wars Unveiled. This time we're going to have a look at Series 3 Heat D. I hope you enjoy. The Parthian Shot was supposed to compete in this heat and was originally drawn against Ultor. However, it was forced to withdraw before the battle, so Flipper was drawn in as a substitute. The Parthian Shot, minus top armor and undergoing repairs, was actually shown in Philippa Forrester's introductory walk through the pits, and even mentioned as her sweepstake robot for the series. However, it was not addressed by name on screen, nor was its withdrawal mentioned at all in the episode. The accompanying caption was instead one intended for Flipper. Heat D marks the first instance of a robots team overturning a judge's decision, with Ultor doing so in the Heat final. In reality, the Ultor team didn't overturn the decision because of sportsmanship, but because the team had work commitments, preventing the team from attending filming for the semi-finals. This episode marked Ultor's only ever appearance, making it one of only two competitors to compete in the UK Championship and never lose a battle, the other being Scar. Bumblebot and Millie Amberg were the only veterans in this episode, and ironically they both fought each other in round 1. This heat saw the debut of several notable teams: future Grand Finalist Team Big Brother, future semi-finalists the Grim Reaper, and popular entertainers the Hubnuts. This episode was shown on the last day of the millennium. Sir Killalot nearly achieved the first out of the arena attack in the televised UK series when he spun Shell Shock around on his lance. Though Crusader was a pinball-only competitor, it did appear in brief cameos in the First World Championship later on. Crusader had two different designs around this time period. Big Brother made a cameo on BattleBots, where it was flipped by Bigger Brother. Big Brother was the first robot to start the Sir Chromalot trend, defeating it in round 2 of Heat D, and going on to win the heat. During Big Brother's heat final, Jonathan Pierce said, "I wonder if Big Brother has an even bigger brother to come back," thus foreshadowing the name of its successor. Big Brother's heat final loss to Ultor was technically the only time Team Big Brother lost in the heats, while Philippa Forrester was the pit reporter. Bumblebot was the first robot to compete in a side event, then take part in the main competition of a future series. Ironically, Crusader appears in this episode and will eventually go into the main series next time. A fourth unnamed team member replaced Sarah Corpse for the second round match against Ultor in Series 3. Following their defeat, it was he who spoke to Philippa Forrester, lamenting how the axe had constantly fired in the car park in Reading. During the pit segment after Bumblebot versus Millie Amberg, a blue robot can be spotted. It is speculated this blue robot may in fact be the robot known as Roadkill, which was infamous for causing the behind-the-scenes incident in which it stabbed a producer in the leg. It is known that Roadkill did in fact compete in the Third Wars, but its battle was never aired nor shown, and we have no idea what it looks like other than it was blue and meant to be very spiky. In 2016, when BBC News reported the return of Robot Wars, the Series 3 version of Grim Reaper was included amongst the pictures of classic competitors. In fact, all the classic competitors shown in this report were from Series 3. Shell Shock, at 56 kilograms, was the lightest robot to enter the main competition in the Third Wars. The controversy surrounding Sir Chromalot versus Shell Shock extended out of the TV show and into the Robot Wars magazine, which remarked on 2 occasions that the crowd booed the decision in a 2-page spread. Sir Chromalot was originally going to have an overhead spinner featuring 2 hammers, but it was removed due to weight. During testing before Series 3, Sir Chromalot survived being hit by multiple cars. Interestingly, in Sir Chromalot's 3 unseeded main appearances, it fought in Heat D, losing in round 2 to the eventual Heat winner, 2 of which being the number 7 seeds for the series. In each of these cases, Dead Metal pushed it into the pit. The robot also lost in round 2 of the main competition appearance as a seed. In Series 3, Steve Merrill's name was misspelt on the statistics board as Steve Merrick. This error appeared in the interview with the Hubnuts in issue 4 and 6 of the Robot Wars magazine. On the rear box art of the video game Robot Wars Metal Mayhem, Ultor is seen in an in-game screenshot, but this does not appear in the actual game. This suggests that the robot was at one stage planned to be in the final release, but was likely cut from the game during production. Millie Amberg qualified automatically due to its popularity with the Robot Wars production. Before the competition was cancelled, Millie Amberg was due to be paired with Agent Orange in the Tag Team Terror competition in Series 3. This was due to the 2 teams becoming good friends and frequently working together for upgrading and testing each other's machines prior to Series 3. And that is it for today. Series 3 Heat D. I like this episode. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Series 3 in general, so I like a lot of the Series 3 episodes. Heat C is the first ever episode I ever saw of Robot Wars. Heat D was obviously going to be the second because I watched it weekly back in the day. So I don't really remember much of Heat D, ironically. I do remember the Ultor versus Big Brother fight, though, in particular back then when I first watched Robot Wars. Obviously, the following few heats I remembered a little bit more, especially Heat F. That one I absolutely loved and I fell in love with, and I still love to this very day. It's still one of my favourite episodes of all time. Heat D, as a general episode, is pretty decent. It's got a lot of great fights in it, a lot of interesting, wonderful looking robot designs, and this one has a very interesting behind the scenes as well, especially given the fact that there was that roadkill robot which caused the massive behind the scenes incident that caused a load of events get cancelled, etc. That was presumably in the background of this episode, presumably could have even been a part of this particular heat. Now, obviously, the Parthian shot was meant to be in this heat, and obviously withdrew and was replaced by Flipper. But of course, who's to say that wasn't another robot that should have been in this particular heat, and ended up being, replaced by one of the other robots? Who that could have been, I actually don't know. It could have obviously been just another episode that it was a part of, and then it was replaced. You don't really know at all. But regardless, I think it's interesting that we have the Parthian shot shown and then replaced basically off screen. It's just said, oh, this is Flipper the whole time. And I wonder if it's because in Heat C there was a robot that withdrew that was replaced by Binky, if I recall. I do wonder if it was like with Series 6 where they didn't want to have Series 7 where they didn't want to have multiple withdrawals in one series back to back. It just looks very awkward, it looks very unprofessional, so to speak, which I perfectly understand. In terms of the memorability of this heat, obviously the finale of this heat where they take away the judge's decision, or they say that the judge's decision wasn't right and we're going to give it to you, Ultor, to Big Brother I should say. When you find out that it wasn't done because of sportsmanship but because they were going to had work commitments, it kind of lessens the wholesomeness of that. I won't lie. But in terms of memorability, it does have a lot of decent fights. It has the debut of several massive all-star robots like Sir Chromlot, Big Brother, for example, and Grim Reaper as well. One could argue is an all-star robot. I probably wouldn't list it on the all-star list per se, but it does obviously exist, and of course Million Bugs in this episode as well. But yeah, overall it's a very entertaining heat in the sense that it does have a lot of impact on Robo's history, mostly behind the scenes, but also because of the all-star machines that actually debut and appear in this episode. So it has a lot of stuff to it, and of course the irony of Bumblebot being from a side event into the main competition, and of course Crusader being in the side event here and later on being in the main competition, I think is worth noting as well. So yeah, Heat D, I recommend watching it. Series 3 in general, I recommend watching it. It's, even if it does have a lot of controversy behind the scenes, it's still worth watching in my opinion. So let's have a look at what we get next time around. So we have the Grudge Match Specials next. Now the Grudge Match Specials is a very unusual title for a special because there's only 2 grudge matches and the rest is just other events really. So it'll be interesting to look at, especially because there is so many robots, so many different events, and a lot of it was never filmed, or at least it was filmed but it was never actually shown properly. It was only shown highlights, which I fucking hated when they did that. But nonetheless, I hope you enjoyed this edition of Robot Wars Unveiled, and I'll see you next time.